Hey everyone, this is just a quick message from Tats. I would like to say we finally did it. We reached 500,000 subscribers. Now I would like to thank each and every one of you that has enjoyed our videos and given us the support to keep on going. We're going to keep producing videos for you, and we really want to show you some truly fantastic work in the future. This particular video has been on hiatus for about 2.5 years. This is mainly because we did not have the resources to record the content. Bear in mind, everything you see in this video was recorded by myself and 2 other members of the team. I would also like to say that Cities and Games is actually going to be a series of city videos. So, if your favourite city did not make this list, don't be alarmed. We're included in the Series 2 or even the Series 3. We aim to try and cover all the fantastic cities across video games. Anyway, enough of me talking. Here's hoping you really enjoy this video as much as we enjoyed making it.
This video contains disturbing and violent content. Viewer discretion advised.
A city in a video game is always an interesting thing to see implemented, whether they serve as hub areas, environments under siege, or prime locations for loot. To see a city well crafted and later well explored, it's truly a delight to any virtual adventurer, artistic designers, and visual cartographers. Here is the top 36 cities and games.
Fourth Ring of Furon. Destroy all humans. Path of the Furon. The Fourth Ring of Furon is a Furon settlement that orbits the planet Furon. The Fourth Ring serves as a leisure resort and vacationer's paradise. It consists of 6 main areas: the Funky Town Artificial Human Habitat, the Cloning Industrial Island, the Humania Amusement Park, the Resort Condominiums, the Emperor's Summer Palace, the Outer Rim, and the Furon Underground. The Furons here are not real Furons. They were specifically cloned for the purpose of vacationing, even though the real ones are still hard at work on Furon itself. The Furons only spend a few days on the Fourth Ring, and then once their vacation time is over, they're disintegrated. The Fourth Ring itself is centered in a small field of asteroids, with many of the asteroids covered with large blue plants and crystals. The Furons use the asteroids as parks and places to build storage buildings and other such facilities.
Goldenrod City, Pokemon Gold. Goldenrod City is a sprawling metropolis located in western Johto. It's the largest city in the region, rivaling Celadon City, the largest city in Kanto. Goldenrod City is the 4th largest city in the Pokemon world, behind Unova's Castelia City, Nimbasa City, and Kalos's Lumiose City. Goldenrod is the center of the region's economy and telecommunications. It also has a magnet train, which connects Johto and Kanto, starting in Goldenrod and ending in Saffron City. There is a bike shop where the player can get a bicycle. The Goldenrod department store is the largest store within Johto. The 5-story department store near the town's entrance has a plethora of different items from nearly a dozen separate merchants. All of the merchants have different wares for sale, and entirely different inventories. Pokemon trainers often come to Goldenrod City in order to win the plain badge from Whitney, the Goldenrod gym leader, who specializes in normal type Pokemon.
Santa Destroy. No More Heroes. Santa Destroy is the main setting for the 2 games in the No More Heroes series. Aesthetically designed to be a parody of American cities such as Los Angeles, it is home to Travis Touchdown and his various missions, assassinations, or otherwise. A well-known shopping area is Area 51. There are also 2 employment agencies in Santa Destroy, the Job Center and K Entertainment, a corrupt advertising agency. The latter will not allow employment to those who are without introduction tickets, which can only be obtained through first working for the Job Center. This is because as a corrupt advertising agency, K Entertainment entrusts the employment of carrying out assassinations for large sums of money. The town is also known to have hosted a Santa Destroy 8-hour stamina meat festival. Santa Destroy is the home of the Santa Destroy Warriors of Major League Baseball at Destroy Stadium. While the Warriors are a professional baseball team, they are apparently inferior to a number of other teams in the league, to a degree at which it is even described in the Santa Destroy guide that the only thing they lead the league in is violence towards fans. Despite Santa Destroy being set in California, its currency is not the American dollar, but rather the LB dollar. This is given no explanation, nor has it been officially confirmed what LB abbreviates. Santa Destroy does not experience significant crime rates, bar the organized United Assassins Association ranking matches and K Entertainment's contractual assassination gigs, which take place at locations within Santa Destroy or its surrounding area. The D Police serve as Santa Destroy's law enforcement. Santa Destroy High School serves almost all of the city in Santa Destroy. It's uncertain how children obtain their elementary education, though it is most likely that either there is an elementary school in Santa Destroy that isn't recognized in the game, or children are simply transported to a nearby surrounding community with one. It is also considered that the schools in Santa Destroy do not properly teach students a real education, possibly due to the faulty teachers and staff, or the UAA.
Opportunity. Borderlands 2. Opportunity is a city being built by Hyperion. When Hyperion took over Pandora, Handsome Jack had his construction team start building a perfect city of the future, his ultimate desire being that soon all of Pandora will be rebuilt in his vision, with Opportunity being at the start. Upon its completion, Jack wants to move the richest and most powerful families in all of the 6 galaxies to Opportunity. As the city is considered by Jack as a utopia for the best and brightest, he has put in place numerous laws such as no littering with the punishment of death. His construction team is considered expendable, and since the start of construction there has been several casualties. The workforce is overworked, hardly getting breaks and being executed if they're inefficient. As Jack himself describes it, a miserable worker is a hard worker. He has also made it abundantly clear that the workers will not be allowed into the city once it's completed. Jack's justification for building his ambitious metropolis out in the highlands is to show bandits and Crimson Raiders alike that it represents the idealisms of paradise in the otherwise hostile planet, and that Opportunity is the flagship city for Jack's vision of a new, safer Pandora. The first district is the Hyperion Office Complex. It is home to several skyscrapers that will serve as the offices for the Hyperion Corporation. It's here that the bridge connects Opportunity to the highlands, and is also home to the Welcome Center, an area that advertises Opportunity through a large holographic screen, a statue of Handsome Jack standing on a bandit, as well as several banners. Located in the center of the city and dedicated to Jack's all-too-big ego is the Living Legend Plaza. It's the most prominent feature and features a large statue of Jack reading a book. Surrounding the statue is a memorial depicting Jack's heroic adventure on Pandora, which is in fact just the story of the 4 original Vault Hunters, but with Jack taking all the credit. Opportunity Square is mainly indoors, designed to be a shopping center for when the city opens. This area also has many balconies and walkways on its higher levels, as well as multiple fountains, information kiosks, and a statue of Jack holding the vault key and a baby. The Orbital Delivery Zone is a stretch of unoccupied space that is used as a drop zone. All of the construction materials and equipment is delivered from the Hyperion moonbase via a lunar shot and land at this location. The residential corridor has several skyscrapers that make up this district, and will serve as housing for when the rich and powerful families arrive, offering luxury apartments with stunning views. These are naturally some of the tallest buildings in Opportunity. The Waterfront District is located at the very back of the city and has a view of the entire Crater Lake. Co-Opportunity Center is found here. This is where Hyperion broadcasts its advertisements of Opportunity, as well as a computer connected to Angel. A prominent landmark in this area is a huge building under construction located just out of Opportunity and connected by an unfinished bridge. It's the largest building in the city. The pits are the last part of the city, which is unfinished, due to several large holes in the ground which are the foundation of new buildings under construction. Cranes and scaffoldings dominate the construction site, and this area is designed by Jack to be his new Coliseum, which was built out of spite towards Moxie for dumping him.
Moresby. Dead Island. Moresby is the third world city of the capital of Panau Island. The city suffered the worst during the outbreak due to its high population density. Trash litters the streets in the form of abandoned police vehicles and ambulances, smashed road barriers, and hastily created barricades made out of crashed cars, buses, and dumpsters, many of which were clearly broken through. The city roads, for the most part, are impassable to cars due to the sheer numbers of crashed vehicles all along the main roads. Which means traveling on foot is the only viable option. Moresby, the biggest city on Banoi, had a serious gang problem even before the outbreak. The rich were completely segregated, and the slums were barely livable. The police were so ineffective that a special section of the army, the Banoi Island Defense Force, had to be formed to protect the island. Moresby is split into various sections, neighborhoods, and small towns, including Shantytown, Langer Road, Queenscliff, and the Market District. Underneath Moresby is the city sewers, and there are various access points within Moresby to enter the sewers.
Tall Oaks, Resident Evil 6. Tall Oaks was the focus of a bioterrorist attack orchestrated by the National Security Advisor, Derek C. Simmons. During a biohazardous outbreak, some 70,000 people in the area were estimated to have been infected, totaling at 90% of the city's population. Later on, the city was destroyed with a missile strike, but this was done to officially prevent the C virus from spreading. In reality, just like Raccoon City, there was a political decision to prevent the recovery of information incriminating members of the US government in the outbreak. The city was located around the New England region of the United States. It gets its name from the oak, a tree which lives in large numbers in the nearby northeastern coastal forests along with the Boston ivy. Just on the outskirts of the city is Tall Oaks Church, an Ivy University.
Ephyra, Gears of War. Ephyra was the capital city of both the Coalition and the Nation of Tyrus during the Pendulum Wars. The light mass bombing took place near the city's outskirts. It was built upon the once thought impregnable Jacinto Plateau by the COG. Ephyra was infested and overrun by the Locust, and only a few pockets of the stranded human survivors remained until the light mass offensive. The city was under Locust control during the day and was infested by Krill at night, making the city badly damaged after the Horde took over. Before they were wiped out by the light mass bombing, the Krill would indiscriminately kill those who strayed from the safety of the light, forcing both the stranded and the Locust alike to maintain constant sources of illumination once the sun had set. The members of both Alpha and Delta Squad were both sent to Ephyra to place the resonator in the Locust tunnels. In-game, Ephyra is very reminiscent of the real-life Sarajevo in the former Yugoslavia. The city was under siege for almost 4 years, roughly the same time period as the skirmishes post the fall of Ephyra. Like Ephyra, Sarajevo suffered massive casualties and infrastructural damage due to ethnic factions competing for control. Also like Ephyra, with the Locust targeting all humans, both civilian and military, there was systematic genocide being perpetuated by the invading Republika Srpska army against the Croats, Bosniaks, and other groups. In both cases, many citizen encampments remained within the city with little resources to survive. The real-life siege in Sarajevo was eventually broken by NATO forces intent on ending the war, bringing stability to the region, and bringing war criminals to justice. Siriusopolis, Sirius Sam 2. Siriusopolis is a giant futuristic city located on the planet Sirius, where Sirius Sam has to venture through in level 35. The uptown is set above ground, with floating trees, platforms, and a sky rail network with trains and globes. The globes are mirror-like, and reflect the gleaming city from the glass windows. Roman architecture is also seen in one of the many parks, with water fountains and flowers around the monuments. Several flying spacecrafts that serve as civilian ships are seen in the area, though these can't be interacted with. The dome structures contain many plant life and springs, with a glass roof for views of the city outside. Many mental forces patrol the uptown, with orc grunts, tank biomechanoids, and Kozak helicopters. The downtown area consists of various neon-colored signs, giant plazas, and many of mental forces. Many floaters and Kozak helicopters are seen searching the area for any sign of Sam and the Resistance. It's worth noting that the downtown section features some of the most colorful parts of the game, and houses skyrocketing buildings that reach the sky. The game never shows what downtown looks like during the day, and is permanently set at night. There is a park area outside of the city that has many monuments and a giant temple called the Mental Institution, which bears some resemblance to the buildings encountered in Serious Sam's first encounter. The arena is a large stadium or coliseum that is filled with lava, and has many small islands with tricks and traps. The stadium is located quite near the city, as the buildings can be seen close to the vicinity.
Carcer City, Manhunt. Carcer City is the decayed and high-crime city featured as the main setting of Manhunt. It's depicted as having a dysfunctional and corrupt police force completely in the pocket of Lionel Starkweather, and large swaths of neglected and abandoned neighborhoods that have become overrun by violent gangs. It's implied that Carcer City was once a booming industrial center in its past, before it became crippled by crime and gangs. Most of, if not all of the gangs that plague the city's streets are on the director's payroll. Many parts of Carcer seem to be in a state of near anarchy, as large sections of the city appear to be in complete control by gangs and are neglected by its apathetic and ineffective police force. The city itself contains a mental asylum, a church, a derelict shopping mall, an abandoned zoo, a junkyard, and a subway system. Carcer City is likely located in a Rust Belt state in the United States, and is in the vicinity of Liberty City. There is a polluted river located in the city that catches on fire, and a bay called Rock's North Bay. The terrain is mostly flat, aside from surrounding hills that house the wealthier neighborhoods, and no mountains are visible. Not much else is known or revealed about the environment in Carcer City. Carcer derives from the Latin word carcere, meaning prison. This is the root of terms like incarcerate, meaning to imprison, and carceral state, a state modeled on a prison. Carcer was also the name of a prison in Rome in the ancient Roman Empire.
Jacinto City, Gears of War. Jacinto City, located on top of the Jacinto Plateau in the Embry Province, was the COG's last stronghold and a major city in the pre-emergence day Tiras. Jacinto City was one of the COG's most beautiful cities, sitting on the planet's hardest granite. Most of the city dominated the plateau. Like many other of the Saran cities, it prospered during the era of silence. With an increase of arts, science, and culture, the city was the pride of the Tiran nation. The city contained many factories and office buildings, which could house millions. After E-Day, the city became the last bastion of hope for humanity. When the Fortification Act was passed on the 30th day of Bloom, 1 AE, Jacinto was turned into a fortress, and the city limits had a trench surrounding it. Jacinto City was one of the few cities that survived the E-Day attack unscathed due to its granite base. After the Fortification Act, the city became a center of war production and was the main target for the Locust Horde. The city population was supported by farms like Northgate Agricultural Depot. All of the factories were militarized and a trench was built around the city. Many sections of the city were divided into sectors and perimeters with makeshift military bases lining the streets. Due to overpopulation, many citizens lived in shacks and tents on the streets of the city. The city and its surrounding areas were safe until 10 years after E-Day during the Battle of Ephyra, when East Barricade Academy fell to the Locust Horde, leaving most of the plateau open to Locust attack. 15 years after E-Day, Jacinto City stands as the last stronghold for the COG, with stranded encampments acting as no man's land. Cities like Tolan and Montevado are prime examples. During the Locust counterattack, the siege of Jacinto began, leading to the city's downfall during Operation Hollow Storm. Ironically, the COG destroyed the city in order to win the war.
Mombasa, Halo 2. Mombasa is a city in Kenya, the East African protectorate on the planet Earth. It consisted of a prosperous section called New Mombasa on an island known as Mombasa Island, as well as a rundown section known as Old Mombasa on the mainland around the island. Northwest of the island and between the inlets, there used to be a large peninsula connected to the Mombasa Island by the Makupa Causeway. This landmass is now absent, covered by water. This could be explained by the dramatic climbing of sea levels due to global warming, whose results are evident throughout Mombasa. Large areas of former land are now underwater, and most of Mombasa has been saved only by large seawalls around the shores. In the center of the island, there's a concentration of gigantic corporate skyscrapers. The highest, the Vibrant Telecom building, being 2 kilometers tall. The size of the structures changes towards the south, with more lowercase buildings. The layout of the southern side of the city is also near symmetrical and is divided to 10 sectors. Symmetrical compartmentalization like this is a security precaution taken into account when designing all tether cities, to minimize damage in case the tether were to fall. Between the city center housing, highest skyscrapers in the southern sections of the city, there's a district with medium-sized skyscrapers. The NMPD headquarters is located here. The city center is elevated above normal ground level and is surrounded by slope-like walls resembling the seawall around the island. On October 20th, 2552, a small fleet of Covenant capital ships exited slip space just off of Earth's defensive network. During the ensuing battle, a Covenant assault carrier breached the orbital fortifications and made its way to the surface. The ship, which carried the Covenant hierarch known as the High Prophet of Regret, took possession over New Mombasa, deploying troops and vehicles which occupied the city. The city's civilians either evacuated, took shelter, or were killed. In Old Mombasa, announcements in Swahili were broadcast over a public address system. These propagandist announcements encouraged New Mombasa's citizens to fight against the invading alien zealots, even though there was very little truth to these announcements, as they were only intended to increase morale of those that still remained after most of the city evacuated.
Steelport, Saints Row III. Steelport is a poorly financed city due to economic failure, which has slums and beggars. And the city consists of 4 districts: Downtown in the center, New Colvin in the east, Stanfield in the northwest, and Carver Island in the southwest. It's heavily industrialized and has slowly fallen into the hands of criminal gangs. Found in the center of Steelport, Downtown is the largest of the 4 districts of the city and is controlled by the Morning Star. Downtown holds the 4 tallest buildings of Steelport, one of them being the Syndicate Tower. Carver Island is the second island in the city of Steelport. Luchadores control the neighborhoods of Carver Island, and it has 6 neighborhoods, more than any other district in Steelport: Arapice Island, The Grove, Bridgeport, New Baranek, Yearwood, and Port Pryor. New Colvin is the third island and district in the city of Steelport, which features the middle and upper class areas. Many nice suburban houses are found in the district in all of the neighborhoods, with the exception of Wesley Cutter International. Stanfield is the fourth island in the northwestern district of Steelport. It's controlled by the Deckers. The statue of a steelworker is based on the Statue of Liberty with the intensity of Soviet-era sculptures. At one point in Steelport's history, the city had its own tram service, similar to the one present in Stillwater. The elevated tram line can be seen in some parts of the city, but it's currently out of order. Some of the trams can still be seen on the line, but are now abandoned and vandalized with graffiti. The city also used to have a cargo train line, which was used for transporting cargo to one of the seaports across the city's coast. Like the tram system, it's currently out of order, and many of the freights now lie out of use and have been vandalized as well. One of the possible reasons for the cargo trains being out of use may be an effect from the apparent recent financial crisis, which seems to have affected Steelport greatly, and which gave way for the massive increase in organized crime across the city.
Paradise City is divided into 5 districts, which make up 2 general areas of the landscape, the urban area and the rural area. Downtown Paradise, Harbor Town, and Palm Bay Heights make up the urban area, while Silver Lake and White Mountain make up the more rural area. These districts are further divided into sub-districts, each with a different design sense, from abandoned warehouses to beachfront hotels. Downtown Paradise contains tall skyscrapers that can be seen from Palm Bay, Harbor Town, and Big Surf Island. It's the only region in the game to contain 3 finishing landmarks: the Coast Guard HQ, Waterfront Plaza, and the Wildcats baseball stadium. Harbor Town is the industrial area of Paradise City. The west area of the region contains the Rock Ridge Dam and the South Bay Expressway suspension bridge. Harbor Town's finishing landmark is the Naval Yard. Palm Bay Heights contains shops and hotels, as well as some small residential areas. Palm Bay's landmark is the Maple Mount Country Club. Major landmarks include Big Surf Beach, with the complimentary Ferris wheel, the Lawrence Road Tunnel, which heads into the country area, and the large Paradise City sign on the Western Hills, which is visible even from the Paradise Keys Bridge on the Big Surf Island. Silver Lake represents the eastern portion of the country area and contains the observatory. Silver Lake is also the name of the lake in the center of the country area, next to which lies a hidden abandoned airfield. White Mountain is the western end of the country area and contains the Lone Stallion Ranch wind farm. Notable landmarks include an abandoned quarry, a figure-8 stock car racing track, and a Sunset Valley town with its own tennis stadium.
Stillwater City, Saints Row. Stillwater is a fictional city set in the United States of America, in the state of Michigan, located on the end of a peninsula, which is split down the middle by a large, unnamed river crossed by multiple bridges. In Saints Row 2, Stillwater is larger and has experienced 25 to 30 years of transformation in just a few short years. This is said to be, in part, due to efforts of the Altor Corporation to fix its problems. Stillwater is now revealed to be an island city, rather than at the end of a peninsula, and some areas have been radically changed. The city also seems to have a major population boost between the original Saints Row and Saints Row 2, having much more people, vehicles, businesses, and services. The project consists of 2 poor neighborhoods, Sunnyvale Gardens to the north and Shivington to the south. This is the poorest district of Stillwater due to the Altor's renovation of the Saints Row district. The downtown district is a large, busy sector of Stillwater, packed with hustle and bustle of an average city center, filled with shops, hospitals, office buildings, and corporate advertisements. The district is divided into 4 neighborhoods, all with their own unique functions: Adept Way, Brighton, Fillmore, and Union Square. The Saints Row district is vastly different to the one in the original Saints Row. No longer the home of disrepair and gang violence, Saints Row is now a glass and steel utopia, renovated by the now multi-billion-dollar Ultor Corporation. Ultor head of security Dexter Dex Jackson made his first order of business to renovate the old church in the center, and Ultor put the iconic Phillips building north of the church in Mission Beach. The Phillips building is the tallest building in Stillwater, standing 71 floors high, and is the main base of operations for the Ultor Corporation. The area surrounding the building features many statues and monuments displaying Ultor's power in Stillwater. There are many people in business attire in this area.
Metro City, condemned. Metro City is a rundown, mainly impoverished city, whose homeless and addicts are under the influence of the Oro through the use of sonic emitters spread throughout the slums and projects. The city is where both condemned games take place. Violence in the city is constantly increasing, and the government is doing nothing to help the situation. Throughout the city, they have sonic emitters placed in hidden locations that, when heard, cause the victim to become mentally unstable and violent. Murder is also a large problem through the city, clearly visible in the first game, with several serial killers loose and active throughout the city. Despite the industrialized and slum areas of the city, there are better parts to Metro. For instance, the downtown sections where the SCU are present and the local news are broadcasted. The dangerous areas of the city, in which the police are told to routinely patrol, include the 645 Burnside Boulevard, Burnback Alley, Trenton District, and Preston Hotel. Some other areas are reported as haunted, or else paranormal. These places include St. Joseph's Secondary School and the Walker Doll Factory. The Oro's operating center, the Peninsula, is visible from the shores of Metro City, and throughout the series they have made their presence known more and more with each passing day.
Panau City, Just Cause 2. Panau City is the administrative capital, financial capital, and by far the largest city of Panau in Just Cause 2. It's the only city in Panau of significant size and contains a very large proportion of Panau's population. The city is characterized by gleaming skyscrapers and huge bridges, a leftover from the previous capitalistic democracy before the nation fell into the grip of baby Panay. There is a lot of infrastructure around the city as well, including a modern motorway system. It consists of the financial district, park, docks, and residential districts. The financial district holds the most skyscrapers, like the Burj Panau and Deman Tingi Tower. Most of the skyscrapers are standing on large basement buildings where shops can be found. The streets of the city are not as busy as other major cities, possibly due to the oppressive military presence. The residential districts contain some high skyscrapers, such as the Tanga Ki Saruga Tower. This is also the place where most of the citizens are seen in the city. The park district contains a few skyscrapers, but a huge park, hence the name. The docks district, found in the east of the city, contains one tall skyscraper and is the smallest district in the city. Again, under strict military control, many anti-aircraft missile silos are placed all around the docks for city protection. The city's motorway system connects the 4 islands by a series of huge cable-suspended bridges and elevated roads over the city's buildings and water. There is also a good network of roads in the city, giving cars easy access to every district. Panau International Airport lies just 2 kilometers east of the city and is no longer an international carrier due to the regime change. It's the largest and most modern commercial airport facility in the country, and is heavily guarded by the military.
Nos Astra, Mass Effect 2. Nos Astra is the capital city of the Asari colony world Ilium, in the Crescent Nebula. Ilium is infamous for its abusive labor practices and legalization of nearly everything except murder. As such, Ilium is the preferred production site for weapons and pharmaceuticals that would be illegal nearly everywhere else. Despite the dangers of its products, Nos Astra is renowned for glamour, luxury, and safety, provided by near-total surveillance, making it a favored tourist destination. The sole obstacle to business is its extreme bureaucracy, tolerated only for its provision of security. New visitors are advised to avoid signing anything due to the world's lax legal regulations, necessary in order to stay competitive with the Terminus systems. As such, drugs are legal as long as they are labeled properly, and one can buy any kind of weapon, technology, or even indentured servants. At the same time, it's still an Asari city, and far from lawless. Very few Quarians visit Nos Astras, as it does not allow the migrant fleet to enter the star system. The city includes a port, a bar, and a commercial area containing several shops. Though it seems like a gleaming beautiful city outwardly, it is remarked by some that the city is not as safe as it looks, and it can be just as dangerous as Omega. The city hosts regular shuttle schedules to local and off-world destinations. Known areas covered by local transport include the Nos Astra Commercial Spaceport, Dantius Towers, Manhoros Plaza, and Saiphos Valley. Off-world destinations include Thessia, the Citadel, Palaven, Irune, Kahe, and Amaterasu. Elysium, Mindor, and Shanxi used to be serviced as well, but due to recent collector attacks on human colonies, flights to them are delayed until further notice. Fairfield, Left 4 Dead. Fairfield is a medium-sized city in which the entire No Mercy campaign takes place in Left 4 Dead. A fairly large northeast American city with a skyline featuring predominantly pre-1950s urban architecture suggests a local economy that has struggled in recent decades. The city has a multi-story modern hospital, a large subway network, and an extensive sewer system. Mercy Hospital, Redline Subway, Burger Tank, Hirsch Shipping Company, and Eastern Waterworks factory complexes are some key areas in Fairfield. The city also appears to have an airport due to its size, as well as it being surrounded by a mountain range. Based on evidence found in the isolation ward at Mercy Hospital, it has been surmised that the infection may have started in Fairfield. If true, Mercy Hospital medical staff would have implemented standard quarantine and evaluation routines whilst they sought to contain, identify, and treat the contagion. Once it was clear that the plague was more contagious and spreading faster than anticipated, a state of emergency was declared, giving CEDA full authority over the situation. CEDA's attempts to quarantine the city in an effort to prevent further spread of the infection evidently proved to be too late. They shut down and placed the city's airport under quarantine to prevent further spread of the sickness. However, it seems travelers may have gotten out and even brought the infection to the city of Newburgh. Fairfield then slid into a state of mass chaos, panic, rioting, and looting, and some destruction is seen throughout the city. The city is mostly overrun with the infected. Its urban infrastructure lies in a ruinous state, and only a small number of safe rooms scattered across the city remain as temporary safe havens.
Haven City, Jack 2 and 3. Haven City is a dystopian city resting at the bottom of large mountainous structures. During its early years, Haven City was ruled by the monarchs of the House of Mar, which was eventually dissolved by Praxis, who would eventually become the city's baron, instituting the Grand Council of Haven City and the Crimson Guard. His daughter, Ashlyn Praxis, would become and still is the governess of Haven City after her father's death. Haven City is located on the coast of a large continent with a mountainous terrain. It has, over time, expanded from the small Sandover village site to a massive walled and internally segregated metropolis with the strip mine and drill platform to provide power to the city's shield wall. In Jack 2, Haven City is divided into 4 sectors by colored shield walls that can only be passed with a security pass of a corresponding color. There were many landmarks in Haven City, most notably Haven Palace, the home of Baron Praxis and governing center of Haven City at the time, and the Mar Memorial Stadium, a huge sports arena in the northwest corner of the city. The Crimson Guard police force were based in a red fortress in the slums. Districts in Haven City prior to the war included the slums and water slums, which were home to the lower-class citizens and the lurkers, as well as the underground HQ and the Oracle's hut. Other areas include the industrial section and the port, which are home to factories, docks, and the power station, gun course, and Hip Hog Heaven Saloon. The main town is in the north, and the bazaars and the gardens surround Haven Palace. Solitude, Skyrim. Solitude is located on the eastern coast of a peninsula in Hafengar, in the far northwest of Skyrim. A large percent of Hafengar's population lives within Solitude's walls. Part of the reason for this is the eminently defensible nature of Solitude itself. Set upon a great stone arch that towers above the mouth of the Karth River, the city is surrounded by the soaring peaks of the nearby mountains. Solitude is both a reinforced and breathtaking stronghold. Solitude is the capital city of both Hafengar, Skyrim, and the Imperial Legion within Skyrim. Ruled by the current Jarl Elisif the Fair, widow of the late High King Torrig, it's the headquarters of the Imperial Legion stationed in Skyrim. Founded during Skyrim's long Alessian flirtation, the Bard's College continues to flaunt a heretical streak, and its students are famous carousers, fittingly enough, given their chosen trade. Students yearly invade the marketplace for a week of revelry, the climax of which is the famous burning of King Olaf in effigy, possibly a now forgotten contender in the War of Succession. Graduates have no trouble finding employment in noble households across Tamriel, including the restored Imperial court in Citadel, but many still choose to follow in the wandering footsteps of illustrious alumni such as Kaliosos and Moreshellis.
Pacific City, Crackdown. Pacific City used to be a peaceful city, ran precisely by the agency. But the peace wasn't permanent. Gangs started to rise and claim territory. They grew stronger than the agency, and soon the only peaceful part in the town was the location of the agency towers. The city itself is divided up into 4 different territories, with 3 different architectural styles and gangs in each, with the agency island in the center. The whole area is around 10 miles wide, creating a vast world for the player to run around in. In the center island is the agency island where the agency tower is situated. It's the base of operations for the agency and is formally known as the Keep. 3 subterranean tunnels link the tower to each of the Pacific City's 3 districts. At night, spotlights atop the tower's 3 sub-towers watch over the city. La Mugre is the first island. Translated to English, it means the dirt or the mud. It's ruled by the Los Muertos drug cartel. Most buildings on the district's southern island are apartments, hotels, entertainment plazas, and an amusement park called Funland. The Los Muertos gang are currently seen stealing and customizing the finest cars and vans before using them to great effect in crimes and getaways. The second island is called The Den, is controlled by the Vogue militia group, which specializes in human trafficking. The area is dominated by the high-power nuclear power plant. the city coaches public transport department and the docks. Apartment blocks rise on the island's west side, and to the east lies the military base. The district's northern island is home to Mason's Quarry and the Purigi Refinery. The corridor is held in the iron grip of the Shigan Corporation, created by Pacific City's previous government to design new civil defense solutions. The dystopian corridor features most of Pacific City's tallest buildings, including the Tower and Central Point. Most structures here are purposely built for businesses under Shigan's umbrella, such as the PCN Research Institution, Human Reality Incorporated, the Knowledge Bank, and Insight Counter Services.
Vice City. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Vice City is based on Miami, which was a major cocaine transshipment point for South America at the time. This is further reinforced with its theme of drug business, crime, as well as the presence of new upper-class businesses and residents in the city, with some of them likely to be funded by the drug business. Vice City consists of 2 major islands and 6 smaller islands. Both major islands are separated by a large body of water, similar to that of Biscayne Bay, which separates Miami Beach with mainland Miami. Each major island is divided into several districts. The city has 4 hospitals and 4 police stations, distributed evenly in the city. The city has 1 fire station and an air base known as Fort Baxter Military Base. Unlike Liberty City and the state of San Andreas, however, Vice City has no known railway or rapid transit system, and all islands are connected by road and bridge. Vice City is located in a tropical climate, most likely in the Florida Keys. The city has sunshine year-round with occasional thunderstorms and rain. The city is also exposed to hurricanes like Miami or any other city in South Florida. The distribution of gangs in Vice City circa 1984 is significantly different, due largely to activities surrounding the Vance crime family, which rose to prominence that year. Their subsequent dominance has devastated a number of existing gangs which previously had a significant stake in the city.
Dunwall. Dishonored. Dunwall, the capital of Bristol and seat of the Imperial government of the Isles, is an industrial whaling city-state that serves as the central setting for Dishonored. Whaling trawlers pack its harbor, bringing in a constant stream of the whale oil that powers its industrial revolution. Dunwall is known for extreme class division and xenophobia. The poor form the lowest stratum of society and are the target of biological warfare aimed at eradicating poverty by decimating the underclass. During plague time, survivors represent those who have survived the plague but are downtrodden and oppressed. They are encouraged to join the Navy, or in the case of children, the Abbey in return for protection from the plague. The Dunwall City Watch is the primary law enforcement agency for the entire city, with 3 different tiers: the lowest watch, the guards, the officers, and a specialized rank, the tall boys. The Wrenhaven River Patrol enforces Dunwall's laws across the river and its tributaries. The soldiers of the combined armies of the Empire work with the Watch. During the reign of Hiram Barrows, the Abbey of the Everyman's Overseers work alongside the Watch, given all the powers of a civil police, though they largely deal with crimes of heresy. Regardless, criminal organizations such as the Dead Eels, the Hatters, and the Bottle Street Gang continue to thrive. Much of Dunwall's architecture is derived from a mixture of real-world architectural influences. Dunwall Tower exhibits Gothic architecture, the Golden Cat resembles Art Nouveau, and the Boyle Mansion is heavily Victorian. The majority of housing is Victorian in style and is comprised of only a few different designs that can be found almost everywhere in the city. Industrial influences are also present, such as in the expansion of Dunwall Tower, Cauldron's Bridge, and quarantine barriers. Dunwall, being one of the most industrialized cities of the Isles, possesses numerous advanced technologies from the mundane to the sophisticated. Electric lighting and heaters are common in almost every home, while for security purposes, walls of light and arc pylons are utilized to control movement. Almost all these technologies are powered by whale oil. Due to Dunwall's port environment, boats from small motorboats to massive hulking whaling trawlers form the bulk of transportation in and out of the city. On the ground, railway tracks provide transport for the city watch, and smaller rail cars are used by the aristocracy as a means of personal transport. Fairport, F.E.A.R series. Fairport is the large American city in which the F.E.A.R series takes place. Throughout the series, Fairport is portrayed as a sprawling, decaying coastal metropolis located in a hilly environment. The city is presumably organized into socio-economic districts such as the Auburn District, a rapidly deteriorating slum which appears to hold the majority of the city's industrial zoning. Fairport boasts a large number of business parks, high-rise buildings, and a large collection of shabby offices and industrial estates. Most of the city is controlled by the ATC, which range from security to the educational system. The most visited part of Fairport in the series is the Auburn District, an abandoned area of the city that has fallen into disrepair. It's revealed that the ATC is responsible for the abandonment of Auburn by leaving hazardous chemicals in the origin facility that were able to leak into the district's water supply, as well as being responsible for the rage of Alma Wade, which caused people in the area to feel uncomfortable as they picked up on Alma's psychic signals. In the second game, the city is in complete destruction due to the origin facility explosion, with many of its citizens covered in ash. Several districts are haunted by remnants and specters. In F.E.A.R 3, the city doesn't seem to have suffered as much damage from the explosion. This is likely due to the player exploring an area of the city away from the blast zone. Fairport in this game is under a heavy battle between Alma's hallucinations and the ATC. At some point during the game, Alma's pain causes the Almaverse to begin to take over reality, allowing manifestations of her fears and nightmares to appear in the real world. It represents how she views the world, showing a twisted version of reality, in line with the horrific abuse Alma suffered as a child.
The Citadel, Mass Effect series. Pristine, sanitized, and mysterious, and with a population of 13.2 million, the Citadel is home to the Galactic Council, with some memorable alien races. An area located in the Citadel is the Presidium, which is a massive park-like complex containing the offices of various branches of the galactic government, as well as the embassies of all the races represented in the Citadel. There are also shops, restaurants, and recreational facilities serving the wealthy residents who live and work throughout the sector. The Presidium is monitored by a virtual intelligence named Ephyra, and unlike the wards, incorporates an artificial 20-hour day schedule. Lights are dimmed and the holographic sky darkened for 6 of the 20 hours, imitating the familiar day-night cycle. The arms of the Citadel, known as the wards, constitute the residential and commercial sectors of the station, densely populated, housing millions of residents from many galactic species. The wards are akin to Earth cities such as Hong Kong and Singapore. Numerous skyscrapers rise from the superstructure, sealed against vacuum, as breathable atmosphere is only maintained to a height of approximately 7 meters. Unlike the Presidium, there is no artificial day-night cycle. As a consequence of this, commercial activity rarely ceases, and residents work and rest according to personal need. The wards are policed by the Citadel Security Services, whose offices and custody suites are located in the lower wards. The wards are also home to the Silver Sun Strip, a bustling commercial area featuring Silver Coast Casino, Castle Arcade, Armax Arsenal Arena, and the apartment complex Tiberius Towers. Below the wards, the Citadel archives function as a repository for artifacts and records deemed important. The station is capable of closing in on itself via the convergence of the 5 arms transforming into a large impenetrable cylinder. However, the Citadel is only closed in times of emergency, and normally the station retains its open appearance. Even after thousands of years of occupation, the Citadel retains many secrets. The precise age of the station is not known, nor what resilient material it is constructed from. The location of the Citadel's core and its master core unit regulating systems such as life support and navigation remain hidden. The most visible and perhaps intriguing mystery of the Citadel concerns its caretakers, the Keepers. These mute alien creatures maintain the Citadel's vital systems and can be seen working throughout the station. Yet, despite this, little is known about them.
New Vegas. Fallout New Vegas. Unlike the other major cities of the United States, Vegas emerged from the atomic fire of the Great War relatively unscathed, with most of the major damage caused by the downfall of society in general. Freeside is the main slum of New Vegas. Controlled by the Kings and the Van Graffs, the streets are dangerous and lack the luster of the New Vegas Strip. Many gamblers and tourists would find themselves being attacked by thugs looking for a quick source of caps. Recent tensions between the new California Republic and the Kings have worsened the situation between both sides as more tourists come under attack. Like the rest of Outer Vegas, Freeside shows resentment towards the new California Republic, but realize they can be put through a toll booth, since it is the only way to the casinos. Like Freeside, the New Vegas Square are also a part of the slums of New Vegas. There is almost nothing of interest with the place mostly filled with unimportant individuals. Most of the buildings are decrepit and falling apart. The citizens living in this area are highly independent, or some might say, xenophobic. They are very suspicious of outsiders and highly reject the presence of the new California Republic. The area is accustomed to almost no law whatsoever besides a few residents. The West Side houses its own militia, unlike every other part of the city, become more or less self-independent, growing its own food and maintaining its own water supply. The residents often complain of problems with the fiends, who often harass and even kill them in constant raids. A smaller gang, the Scorpions, also have a presence around the southern outskirts. The West Side services include a food store, a brothel, a liquor store, a pawn shop, and a fighting arena where matches can be both fought and bet upon.
The city. Mirror's Edge. The city is a bright, gleaming, sterile metropolis, which hides a totalitarian state in total control of supposedly democratic elections. It's an idealistic version of a modern metropolis, free from trash, graffiti, and dirt. This dystopia is utopian in appearance, full of gleaming skyscrapers, clear waters, and no crime. The price for this orderly world is high. Nonconformists are shunned, and the government monitors its citizens and eavesdrops on all electronic communication. The city is in very new development and under constant construction, as materials and equipment appear in nearly every playing area. The entire city reflects a postmodern design sense, with no classical architectural styles at all, hinting that the whole metropolis has been very recently built. Throughout the city are advertisements and signs, with Chinese, Japanese, Russian, and Latin text symbolizing that the city is multicultural. Although the accents and the names of the characters suggest American, the main prominent building of the city is the Shard, which is the headquarters of the government, and also the final level of the game. The police force, called the City Protection Force, and Parandello Kruger have sizable control over many parts of the city, and are ordered to close down certain roads, even firing amongst citizens to neutralize criminals. The use of color in interior buildings is particularly striking, with different colors being used for different organizations. The crisp orange of Parandello Kruger or the blues and whites of the government buildings. It is also worth pointing out that the vegetation in the city is also white. It could be assumed that it could be a gameplay mechanic to make it easier for the player to focus in the game, or they could be artificial plants placed for aesthetic purposes. The Imperial City, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. At the center of Oblivion's map lies the Imperial City, the heartland of Tamriel, and the ancient seat of power and capital of the Empire. From the First Era into the Fourth Era, the White Gold Tower continues to be the center of Tamrielic cultures and the beacon of the Empire, being the seat of the Imperial government and home to the Emperor. The Imperial City has led Tamriel in culture, fashion, economics, and politics for centuries. It was once the center of the Eyelade civilization, noticeable in the gleaming white architecture and magnificent statues, which are still a noticeable part of the city even in the Fourth Era. The gleaming Imperial City can be seen clearly for miles. The architecture is ornate and grand, reflecting the wealth and importance of the city. The city is walled in a circular shape around the White Gold Tower so as to afford it as much defense as possible from would-be attackers. In the city, there are in total 7 districts: Green Emperor Way, the Market District, the Arena District, the Arboretum, Talos Plaza District, the Elven's Garden District, and the Temple District. There are also 2 smaller walled districts located outside of the city. The Arcane University is located to the southeast, and the Imperial Legion compound is located in the northeast. The last district is the Imperial City Waterfront, the Harbor District, which is located to the southwest of the city. Green Emperor Way is the central district of the Imperial City and the location of the White Gold Tower, also known as the Imperial Palace. The various emperors of the empires of Tamriel, along with the Elder Council, rule the provinces of Tamriel from the Imperial Palace. The Elder Scrolls, powerful tools of prophecy and divination, are also located within the confines of the White Gold Tower, and are guarded with fanatical devotion by blind priests of the cult of the Ancestor Moth and the Imperial Legion. The Elven Gardens is a pleasant residential area, supported economically by 2 well-known inns, Luther Broad's Boarding House and the King and Queen Tavern. Talos Plaza, located in the western region of the Imperial City, is an exclusive residential area and the location of the main gateway to the Imperial City. The district is supported economically by the Tiber Septum Hotel, an exclusive hotel used regularly by the nobility of Tamriel during visits to the capital city. In the center of the Talos Plaza district stands a statue of Akatosh, the dragon god of time, and his dragon aspect, which is a famous location around which the people of the Imperial City gathered to meet and converse. The Temple District is the location of the magnificent and ancient Temple of the One. This temple is nearly as old as the White Gold Tower, and was constructed in the First Era following the establishment of the Elysian Empire from the ruins of the Eyelade hegemonies by Queen Alicia. Within the Temple of the One was where the dragon fires burned before the Oblivion crisis. Also, in the Temple District is the All Saints Inn, which opens its doors to visitors and pilgrims alike. The Arboretum is the garden district located in the southeast region of the Imperial City. In this district stands the statue of the 9 divines, Akatosh, Arche, Debella, Julianos, Kinnereth, Mara, Stendar, Talos, and Zenithar. The statue of Talos, or Tiber Septum, is located in the middle of the Arboretum, encircled by the statues of the other gods. The Arena District is where the Imperial City Arena is located. This is the site of all gladiator combat in Citadel. 2 groups of gladiators fight at carefully scheduled times, the blue team and the yellow team. Before they are allowed to enter the arena and enjoy the spectacle of gladiator combat, all visitors are required to bet on a match or join one of the two teams as a combatant. The Market District is the business district of the Imperial City. All kinds of people and races from throughout Tamriel are seen there. All kinds of items change hands here, from weapons and armor to alchemy ingredients and books. The merchants who set up shop in the Market District are officially regulated by Office of Imperial Commerce. Aside from the official regulator, the merchants in the Market District created their own organization to control the prices of items and the economic balance within the Market District. The Imperial Legion compound, separate from the main thoroughfares of the Imperial City, is located to the northeast of the city. It is headquarters of the Imperial Legion, as well as its armory in the Imperial Prison. The troublemakers and other various prisoners are kept locked up in this prison compound. The prison is also connected to an ancient labyrinth of eye-laid ruins, a fact not known to the general populace of the Imperial City. However, the Imperial Legion is aware of that fact and keeps the ruins sealed. The Arcane University is the site of the headquarters of the Mages Guild in Citadel. The university is closed to all non-members and low-level recruits of the Mages Guild. The waterfront is the harbor and docks of the Imperial City and is located southwest of the city. This is the region where ships throughout Tamriel come to trade, pick up and drop off goods, and conduct other economical business. The inhabitants of the waterfront district mostly consist of the lower classes of the Imperial Society. Beggars and ruffians are often seen prowling the district. The Thieves' Guild is widely known to operate in that area. Yet, the Imperial Legion has difficulty capturing the guild's leaders, the Doyens, and the Grey Fox. The beggars in the waterfront are quite protective to any inquiries about the Grey Fox, and it's considered obvious by the Imperial Legion that a symbiotic relationship is maintained between the Thieves' Guild and the beggars. It was even said that the beggars are under the personal protection of the Grey Fox.
Rivet City, Fallout 3. Rivet City is the largest, most developed and scientifically advanced settlement in the Capital Wasteland. Its inhabitants live in individual rooms and enjoy safety and security inside the aircraft carrier. A number of guards rotate 24 hours a day to protect the ship from raiders, super mutants, mirelurks, and any other threats to the city and its inhabitants. Rivet City lies in the most southern part of the map. Near Anacostia, it is easiest to reach by following the eastern side of the Potomac River, crossing near the tepid sewers or the Citadel, or swimming across from Arlington Library. It's also a short walk from Jefferson Memorial. On the steel structure across from the aircraft carrier itself, there is an intercom box that must be used in order to extend the bridge. After a brief conversation with Harkness, the chief of police, he will grant you entry into Rivet City. Rivet City is located inside an aircraft carrier which has been docked at Washington Naval Yard during the Great War, and was stranded when the water level in the Anacostia and Potomac rivers dropped. The carrier was inhabited by raiders in the upper decks and mirelurks in the lower decks, until remnants of the Naval Research Institute decided to move in because of its strategic importance and its working hydroponics bay, which was used to set up a research lab. The prosperity of the science lab and the relatively safe location of the ship attracted many wastelanders who wished to settle inside. Super mutants attempted to invade the ship, forcing sea greyhounds and any other settlers to reinforce and repair a part of the carrier to make it defensible and safer. The rest of Rivet City grew up around the lab. The settlement itself was founded in April 25th, 2239, when Horace Pinkerton, Annette Holmes, and Bran Danvers decided to form a council to act as governing body to look over Rivet City and the needs of its people. Many years later, a scientist by the name of Madison Lee arrived at Rivet City in 2258 to begin Project Purity and co-opted Pinkerton's staff. Pinkerton became jealous of Lee, left Rivet City, and began living in the bow of the ship, which by this point had separated from the rest of the hull. By 2277, Rivet City is the sole supplier of radiation-free food in the Capital Wasteland, trading it for essential raw materials with other communities.
Raccoon City, the Resident Evil series. Raccoon City is a small, industrial city. home to a zombie apocalypse. Raccoon City was soon quarantined by the military and government facility. The city was heavily industrialized by the Umbrella Corporation under the guidance of Mayor Michael Warren. The city grew in rapid expansion, starting from a small town, which then grew into a large city. The city soon gained a large crime rate, where the Raccoon City government established the Special Tactics and Rescue Service, which was founded to combat the large crime spree. Soon after, the T-virus outbreak occurred in the city, putting it in a state of lockdown to prevent the infected from leaving. After the police were unable to control the infected, the United States Army was called in to evacuate citizens and set up barricades to block off the infected. To avoid panic, the government told the rest of the nation that there was simply radioactive waste leaking in the city, forcing a quarantine. Confronted with the rapidly deteriorating situation, a congressional special committee concluded that the sterilization operation was the best course of action and brought in to the president for approval. This order went forward on the evening of September 30th, despite attempts by Umbrella agents to delay the voting. The city was destroyed by an experimental non-nuclear missile at the dawn of Thursday, October 1st. The official report on the missile strike was heavily classified to avoid implicating the US government, as hoped. It was simply passed off that there was a dangerous virus leak in the city and that the US had to destroy the city to prevent it from spreading. The president resigned after this event, faced with public outrage at his decision to destroy the city. Despite the tragedy of Raccoon City, its destruction served as a warning to the world of the dangers of viral experimentation. And, as a result, new guidelines and safety precautions were put into place to prevent another such disaster occurring. The population of Raccoon City was over 100,000. The economy of Raccoon City was largely dominated by the Umbrella Corporation, and it can be assumed that most of the city's citizens were fairly affluent. Approximately 40% of the city's inhabitants were believed to be directly employed with Umbrella Corporation, working in its many legal businesses. However, only a select few knew of its illegal activities in bioengineering. The corporation generously financed most of the city's infrastructure under the tram and subway system, under the Bright 21st Century Project, in a bid to improve public relations. Raccoon City was believed to be run under an elected municipal government. Unfortunately, dependence on Umbrella's funding meant the city council could be easily swayed by the company's demands. By early 1994, the city was effectively under corporate control. Rapture, Bioshock. Rapture is a massive underwater city, forged by the personal dreams of Andrew Ryan to escape from the political, social, and religious anxieties of the post-World War II world. It was established on November 5, 1946, and finished in late 1951. It differs from a commune in that it's uniquely freedom-focused, and so upholds individual and property rights rather than operating by the rules of a collective community. The original goal of Rapture was to create a capitalist society free of religious and government interference, where any citizen could achieve for his or her own gain, rather than for the altruistic fulfillment of the wants of others. In Rapture's purely capitalistic society, there were no social programs whatsoever. Everything within the city was privately owned and came with a price. This included the city's food, healthcare, sanitation, and even its oxygen supply. There were less restricted norms for businesses and labor, allowing unscrupulous business practices, but competition and customers' choice would balance the market. This system alienated Rapture's less fortunate citizens, who when hard times came began to resent Ryan's society as cold-hearted and elitist. Andrew Ryan's hostility and paranoia of parasites and others exploiting Rapture's freedoms to seize power resulted in Ryan's downfall and that of his city. Ryan issued an edict cutting contact with the outside world, being required for the city's safety by keeping Rapture's existence a secret. This enabled a man named Frank Fontaine to build a criminal empire through smuggling, and then to create and run the society-transforming atom industry. Unlike the capitalistic Ryan, The mobster cannot be satisfied by mere material wealth. He wanted Rapture to be his to control completely. Fontaine, under the alias Atlas, would go on to start a civil war, which brought Rapture's ruination. Ryan believed that scientific achievement in the world was being restricted by petty morality, so he ensured that the inhabitants of Rapture could explore paths of inquiry previously deemed to be too immoral or controversial to follow. Some scientific breakthroughs were in robotics, bringing about an advanced automated security system. Others were in biology, where developments advanced in the restriction of life and the restoration of life, both in plants and humans. One of the major breakthroughs achieved in Rapture was Brigid Tenenbaum's discovery of Atom, unstable stem cells from a species of sea slug. This led to the creation of plasmids and gene tonics. Atom allowed a user to splice new genetic material into individuals' DNA, enhancing health and intellect and giving extraordinary powers to the human body. However, Atom was soon found to cause physical and mental health disruption and damage, as more of the user's native cells were replaced by unstable stem cells. The populace's need for Atom became an addiction, accelerated by excessive splicing done increasingly during and after Rapture's Civil War. Transportation within Rapture is mainly provided by Rapture Metro, a public transportation system consisting of bathyspheres and tramcars, in which citizens access most areas of the city. Adjacent areas of Rapture are connected through bulkhead doors. Areas within some levels are connected by glass tunnels, small ones for pedestrians, larger ones for the system of railed tramways. Rapture is intentionally isolated from the world, and the primary mode of access was via bathyspheres traveling down from the lighthouse perched on an island above.
Liberty City, Grand Theft Auto 4. Liberty City in Grand Theft Auto 4 is the third version of Liberty City in the GTA series, much different from its appearance in Grand Theft Auto 3 and much more likely a GTA Universe's version of New York City. The city has more detail and personality, with many more places which are based on landmarks such as the Statue of Happiness, Star Junction, and the Rotterdam Tower. Liberty City is divided into 65 individual and unique neighborhoods, which are spread across 4 boroughs within Liberty City and border the neighboring state of Alderney. They are Algonquin, Broker, Dukes, and Bohan. Algonquin is a bustling commercial business district full of amazing towering skyscrapers and varied composition of cultures. Here holds various famous landmarks such as Star Junction, Middle Park, and the Rotterdam Tower. This part of Liberty City is the busiest, most crowded, and has the most skyscrapers. It is the heart of Liberty City and has lots of clubs such as the Hercules, Maisonette 9, and Bahama Mamas. Broker maintains a distinct character apart from the rest of the city by containing various pockets of housing projects. Some areas are distinct for high crime rate and a mix of trendy middle-class neighborhoods. Dukes is an old, ethnically diverse, predominantly residential area. It's the location of the Francis International Airport and the baseball stadium that is home to the Liberty City Swingers and an Irish pub, the Steinway Beer Garden. Dukes is primarily made up of affluent and ethnically diverse middle to upper class residential neighborhoods that use traditional Irish, Victorian, and Tudor architecture, though some neighborhoods follow the traditional modern New York archetype. Bohan largely consists of expansive rundown housing projects and is home to the St. Mary's Community Project led by Manny Escuela. Notorious for higher crime rates, gang violence, and drug trafficking over other boroughs, Bohan is the smallest island. It's no secret that various areas in Liberty City suffer from high crime rates, most likely brought about by the large number of gangs and criminal organizations in Liberty, as well as a large underground black market in various areas. The Commission is an Italian-American mafia association made up of the 5 families, which are the Ancelotti family, the Pavano family, the Gambetti family, the Messina family, and the Lupacella family. Aside from the Italian mafia families, there are other major crime organizations such as the McCreary crime family, Russian mafia, Korean mob, and the Triads. There are, of course, many small-time local ethnic street gangs in Liberty City as well, such as the Albanian mob, Jamaican Hillside Posse, motorcycle gangs, various pockets of African American, Hispanic gangs, and Spanish lords. Aside from the gang violence and drug trafficking, other crimes and social problems such as prostitution, car crime, arms trafficking, economic deprivation, poverty, and a little history of corruption in the LCPD also plague certain districts and neighborhoods. During 2008, Liberty City Mayor Julio Ochoa took a tough stance against gun crime by introducing gun control laws, limiting the availability of firearms. He did so primarily by shutting down ammunition stores across Liberty City. However, this campaign has proved to be generally ineffective as the sale of firearms in Liberty City appears to be booming as an underground black market with criminal organizations, drug lords, and gangs typically being heavily armed. Statistically, parts of Broker and especially Bohan are notorious for their high crime rates, gang violence, and drug trafficking markets in the city. Most of the crime rate occurs in the deprived and run-down neighborhoods, as well as the large projects/housing complexes around Liberty City. Bohan deserves a special mention as they often outperform the other boroughs in terms of crime rate, with Broker often coming in second. The many projects and housing complexes around northern Algonquin also appear to be plagued by a high crime rate. Dukes appears to be the safest borough in Liberty City due to its heavy middle/upper class influence, but still contains a minority of areas with the higher crime rate.
Silent Hill. The mysterious city of Silent Hill is the setting for the majority of the Silent Hill series, as well as being the inspiration for the film and comic settings. Portrayed as what could be considered a stereotypical New England city, Silent Hill is shown to be anything but ordinary. Its chief industries are tourism and, to a lesser extent, agriculture. It's an area with a population below 30,000, and its key industry, tourism, is in a state of steady decline. Some of the city's conservative residents oppose modernization and the transformation of the area into a tourist attraction. And although Silent Hill appears at a glance to be an innocuous place, this has brought about an unexpected darkness of drug distribution, a religious doomsday cult of a considerable scale known as the Order exists behind the scenes. Silent Hill is known to manifest itself in 3 different planes of reality: the real world, the fog world, and the other world. The least explored world, ironically, is the real world of everyday life. It seems to assume that this is where the original uncorrupted town of Silent Hill truly exists in a state of normality. The most visited aspect of Silent Hill's worlds is the fog world. With an unnatural fog rolling into town, the streets of Silent Hill appear abandoned. Cars may lie wrecked along the side of the road, while buildings stand vacant and dilapidated. The most abundant form of life around are monsters, who roam about unhindered. Many doors found throughout Silent Hill are broken, preventing access to a great many of the buildings there. In some instances, snow or ash seems to fall from the sky. The final and most dramatic world of Silent Hill is the Otherworld. Appearing different to each individual, the Otherworld can be seen as a symbolic manifestation of a person's psyche. In this form, Silent Hill becomes incredibly dark and industrialized, with structures being composed of fencing, metal plates, fans, and piping. Smokestacks, windmills, and corpses also lend the appearance of this world. Blood covers most things, if not everything, in this twisted world. This is considered the iconic appearance of the Otherworld. Having always been thought of as a place with unexplained powers, it was for this reason that the Native American tribes came to the area to begin with the arrival of colonists and the plague that followed them. This strange presence was seemingly warped and strengthened. Columbia, Bioshock Infinite. Columbia is a city floating in the sky, commissioned by the United States government and founded by Zachary Hale Comstock as a symbol of American political and religious ideals. The city, capable of flight due to the scientific discoveries of physicist Rosalind Lutece, was completed in 1893 and seceded from the United States in 1902. Columbia floats above the North American continent and is comprised of neoclassical buildings similar to cities in the American Northeast, built in the earlier days of the United States. While reactors, propellers, and balloons are present throughout the city, Its ability to float is due to quantum levitation, which allows objects to be suspended indefinitely. The city is also designed with rain catchers that collect water from precipitation in the clouds to keep the vegetation and populace supplied with water. The city was designed with docking stations and propulsion devices to allow sectors of it to move about independently. Columbia was constructed for long-distance travel, allowing for national and international tours. The city had a regular route across the United States with periodic stops near major cities, connecting to relay stations which contain transport rockets. These rockets function as a means of entry into Columbia, accessible via coded signal. Columbia's internal means of transportation include zeppelins, cargo barges, hovercrafts, gondolas, and skylines. Bridges are also automated to connect with different moving portions of the city at various stations, scheduled like any other transportation system. Zachary Comstock named his city after an angel. He claims showed him a vision of a city in the air and asserts that he was chosen to lead people into a new Eden. This vision signified him being a prophet. The U.S. government intended Columbia to be a showcase of American exceptionalism. The city was launched to great fanfare in 1893 at the World's Columbian Exposition and was later dispatched to distant shores. What began as an endeavor of achievement and hope went badly wrong. In 1900, during the Boxer Rebellion, Columbia fired on Chinese civilians who had taken American hostages. The event revealed the floating city was a heavily armed aerial battleship, capable of unleashing devastation across the world. A rift emerged between leadership in Columbia and Washington, and in response, Columbia seceded from the Union the following year and disappeared into the clouds. Comstock now had complete control over the city, transforming it from a floating world fair to a cruel, oppressive, theocratic police state, unbound by U.S. laws and regulations. People of minority races were subjugated in Columbia, with some brought into service slaves or indentured servants. Racial segregation was heavily enforced within the city, to the point where interracial couples faced the risk of a public stoning, and speaking out for equality for other races could result in jail time. As a result of this separation, minorities were largely relegated to menial labor with no opportunity for upward mobility, and any chance to ask for improvements would likely result in being attacked by the city police. The hard labor workforce at F.E.A.R Manufacturing was chiefly composed of the city's minority population and was closely surveyed and attacked by heavily armed police officers. Columbia is a militantly pseudo-Christian society based upon the cult of Father Comstock as a divine prophetic figure. Deviation from the state-imposed dogma was considered unacceptable. The founders, led by Comstock, were the prevailing political faction in Columbia, retaining exclusive control over the city's society, government, and business infrastructure. They enforced Comstock's religious and social vision, and in turn, benefited from it as part of the privileged social strata. The founders were also extremely militaristic, enforcing their laws and operations with a huge army of police officers and security robots, and a massive flying navy of airships led by an equally massive flagship Zeppelin. Comstock believed that scientific knowledge was the blueprint of God's work, and that it could therefore be practiced and controlled in the name of God. Many advancements in Columbia were the product of the mind of Rosalind Lutece, a quantum physicist and a prominent scientist of her time. Her work led to the discovery of the Lutece field, a field capable of manipulating the properties of subatomic particles. One such application was the suspension of particles in space, facilitating the creation of airborne machinery and, by extension, the city of Columbia. Scientists copied the designs of other researchers to create radically new technologies, such as Vigors, the voxophones, and the motorized Patriots. Based on the blueprints of an armored suit, they engineered the Songbird defense system.
Los Santos, Grand Theft Auto 5. Los Santos is a fictional city located in the southwestern United States, in Los Santos County within the state of San Andreas in Grand Theft Auto 5. Los Santos is based on Los Angeles, California, and its greater metropolitan area. Los Santos is a huge and sprawling metropolis with various different cultures, ranging from the prestigious filmmaking industry of Vinewood to the suburban hood life of Strawberry. The game world is incredibly huge, and it's also a great way to explore with your friends. Central Los Santos districts make up the area of downtown Los Santos. The area is characterized as Los Santos' most urbanized area, with the presence of the tallest high-rises in the city, including the huge Maze Bank Tower. North Los Santos consists of the neighborhoods found in the Vinewood Hills. The area is rich and suburban in nature, and it possesses Los Santos' most affluent and exclusive neighborhoods. North Los Santos is home to one of the wealthiest people in all of Los Santos. South Los Santos districts have several low-income housing projects and garbage lining the streets. It's also filled with crime and street gangs like the Families. The dock in Long Beach can also be found in South Los Santos. East Los Santos is primarily made up of the various different Hispanic/Latino immigrants. The area has many criminals lurking about and is said that tourists are unsafe even in the daytime. The area sees considerable disparities of wealth, with northern districts being home to the elite and middle classes. Districts in central East Los Santos possess working-class residents, and southern districts are home to many of Los Santos' harsh industrial facilities. West Los Santos comprises the neighborhoods that sprawl west from downtown Los Santos, extending as far as the Pacific Bluffs at even the city's western limits. Whilst not as affluent as North Los Santos, neighborhoods in the west of the city generally still possess high levels of wealth. West Los Santos is home to the city's beautiful beaches that are extremely crowded. Pleasure Pier is also located here, with various attractions such as roller coaster and a Ferris wheel. Overall, Los Santos suffers from violence, theft, murder, and gang fighting, and is generally considered a dangerous place to be. Most of these crimes are caused by the two longtime rival African-American street gangs, the Families and the Ballas. Not only is there high criminal activity, but there is also corruption among city officials and even the police. The LSPD is known for police brutality and hiring prostitutes, which may explain the high presence of prostitution even in the affluent parts of the city.
City 17, Half-Life 2. Located somewhere in Eastern Europe, the city is under occupation of Combine, an alien force that is in the process of strip mining Earth of its resources. It is their main headquarters on Earth, home to Earth's administrator Dr. Wallace Breen, dominated by the imposing Citadel and surrounded by the desolate wastelands. It is the only location of Half-Life 2, Episode 1, and one of the two major locations in Half-Life 2. With City 17 as its headquarters, the Combine's control is maintained by Metro Cops. City 17 visually resembles a post-Soviet harbor city, featuring mostly Eastern European architecture. It features architectural styles dating from pre-World War II neoclassicism, post-war classical designs, and Soviet modernism designs. Upon the Combine's arrival on Earth, many new structures were constructed using their own style of architecture, with the possible intent of restricting citizen movements throughout the city. This created a distinct aesthetic style for the city, of Eastern European architecture juxtaposed with the cold, monolithic Combine technology. In addition, large television screens were installed in several public areas to address citizens regarding the Combine. At the heart of the city was the Citadel, a giant skyscraper which served as the hub of the Combine. The Citadel is a massive metallic skyscraper. rising approximately 2.6 kilometers into the sky from ground level. The surrounding areas are blasted away, as if the whole structure fell out of the sky. The Citadel is heavily mechanized, and entire sections of it can move to allow mass deployment of airborne combine units, such as city scanners or hunter choppers. The Citadel is embedded in a huge chasm, with antiquated aqueducts and newer sewer pipes with broken ends extending from the walls of the pit, making it seem as if the Citadel plummeted into the ground forcefully from a high distance. The Citadel is completely surrounded by enormous mobile walls, which chew up material around the structure and prevent access from the streets. Under Combine rule, certain residential buildings in the city are used as accommodations for citizens. Conditions in such housings are typically seen as poor, with very few luxuries and constant inspection and raids by civil protection. However, some city infrastructures, such as power plants, are maintained by the Combine, and electricity is made widely available from both traditional sources and Combine generators. A network of canals is also prevalent in and around City 17. Much of the inner city canals, however, are made defunct after the Combine's draining of large bodies of water. However, the industrial district canal system remained usable. It can be noted that many different cars, trucks, and planes can be heard in the city, suggesting the Combine allows citizens to maintain and own cars and use planes as a form of travel, or possibly using human-made cars and jets, but this is unknown. It's an undeniably earthy, depressing vision of the future, but it's also entirely memorable.